This week's podcast is brought to you by Red Baron Frozen Pizza. Discover pizza perfection with Red Baron Pizza. Whether you're feeding a crowd or yourself, there's a Red Baron Pizza for you. Authentic Red Baron brick oven pizza has unique, crispy, bubbly, golden brown crust topped with a premium cheese and robust sauce. Make sure to stock your freezer up for this weekend's games. Hey, Fly, did they want a promo code or anything?
Yeah, they didn't have one.
Turn it up.
Happy to bring you another episode of Sports Betting Brothers podcast. Ray and Ron.
How you doing here?
We'll be doing this week's show. Unfortunately, intern Flad did not complete his homework assignment for us this week, so as punishment, we will not be having him on this week's show. We'll still be having him doing our producing for us. Not really happy with him right now, but there's more important things for us to worry about, right, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, we do love what he's done for us. The producing has been great.
Yeah, we got a lot of positive feedback from last week's show, so we hope he can do that again for us. But first of all, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize for that. But first thing we're going to do here is kind of talk about some of the key games last week, include some of the games that we picked, and move into some plays we like this week in college football. Biggest game of last weekend, in my opinion, was the Oklahoma-Ohio State game. Ron, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, revenge game for the Sooners. They obviously get the job done. Tied 3-3 at halftime, not much doing. And we had talked about having Oklahoma as a pick, and potentially was almost my dog of the day. 3-3 at halftime, Baker Mayfield comes out, and they just start slinging it. Ohio State cannot stop the pass. Their offense doesn't look good. J.T. Barrett does not look like a good college quarterback. His completion percentage downfield is something to scoff at. It's very, very bad. They got to figure something out, moving forward if they want to be taken seriously.
Urban Meyer said they were going to keep him at the helm. I was curious to see if they would make a change at quarterback. It seems like J.T. Barrett hasn't been able to get it done like he did a couple years ago. But
is it his fault or is it the play calling?
I think Ohio State needs to get back to running the football, and I think you're going to see that a lot this week. Run the football, play defense, and that's kind of going to be your bread and butter. So, one thing, did you know, Ron? Fun fact, Baker Mayfield, 10-0 on the road in true road games as a starter for Oklahoma. So,
really?
Fun fact there.
Wow.
Another game here of interest to us, because we had a play on it, was the Iowa State game. Iowa wins in overtime 44-41. Rivalry game early in the season. Certainly lived up to expectations going into overtime. Surprised to see that this game was so high scoring. A lot of both offenses made some big plays down the stretch. It was a TD in overtime that gave the Hawkeyes the victory as they moved to 2-0.
Iowa did struggle to stop the offense. It'll be interesting to see what they do with some of the the high-powered offenses in the Big Ten. Moving on, Penn State Pitt. I was at this game. Not happy with the way it played out. They did win. It was 14-0, like 5 minutes into the game. Offensive line looked a little sketchy at times, but nonetheless, they got it done. Saquon Barkley scored 2 touchdowns. More important is the post-game comments by James Franklin.
Yeah, it's your boy.
Yeah, just saying it's like another, it's just like beating Akron. I don't know how you want to read into that, but it's kind of he's a savage.
I thought it was funny, and I saw this tweet last year that from the Onward State account. It is verified, Ron.
Yes.
And they said, this was from last year, said Pitt in its current state is not good enough to be Penn State's rival. We deserve better. So, that resurfaced a little bit this weekend, and coupled with Franklin's comments came for some interesting stuff kind of post game, in my opinion.
Maybe the first 3 drives against Youngstown, it looks like the same stuff that they ran last year.
Yeah. How about Clemson Auburn? We were talking during the week, and I told you this was going to be a slugfest. Clemson gets it done 14-6, and they cover the spread too. Despite not being the same conference, it seems like these teams do play every single year. Both coaches are known for their offensive prowess, but this was very much a defensive struggle. Great win by Clemson. They did get to Auburn quarterback Jarrett Stidham 11 times. I still don't think they look the same without NFL quarterback now, Deshaun Watson. Still some questions for me with Kelly Bryant at quarterback. Looking forward to seeing him play this weekend against Louisville. Another game that I wanted to mention here, I was going to let Ron go, but I definitely got to talk about this, was the Georgia-Notre Dame game. And I know intern Flad was on this game. It was a very good football game. Georgia wins 20-19. The Bulldogs go in the South Bend. It's another slugfest type game. Both defenses dominated. This is a game that really could have went either way. For me, I'm curious to see where both of these teams go. This was kind of a swing game early on in the season. For the Irish, QB play has got to improve. They're going to play some other good defenses here coming up. QB play has to improve. The decision-making has to improve for them to contend going forward. But I do think they should win their next 4 games or so, the Irish, that is.
Yeah, and Wimbush has all the tools. He really does. And like you said, it does come down to decision-making, better reads on the read options, and passes down the field. Last game to recap, pick I had Stanford plus 7.5. They get demolished by USC.
You blew it!
USC really struggled week 1, but they just manhandled Stanford, and they showed me something. They're clearly a contender.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold still had the picks and he didn't look extra sharp.
It's funny because we talk all the time about fading the public, and the public was all over Stanford, and it's just kind of another example of that scenario kind of playing itself out. I was on Washington State late at night, and I fell asleep. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the whole game. I caught the first half and watched some of the highlights then after, and I know Luke Falk took a bang to the head and was out with a concussion, but it seemed like it was a very sloppy game. And
their young receivers are not quite ready yet.
For them. They ended up winning the game in overtime and didn't cover. I do like this Washington
Triple
State
overtime,
game.
right?
Yeah, I do like this Washington State team going forward. I actually kind of like them this weekend too, but so didn't get us the result there that we like. Maybe if you teased them, it worked out for you. But as far as a straight up ATS winner, they did not get it done for us. But Ron,
I had my UTSA dog of the day. Getting it done as a 17-point dog. That's what it opened. I believe it closes around 14, half point either way. But nonetheless, getting it done. Baylor is not good.
Matt Rule's got
they're a 14-point dog this weekend.
Will get it turned around. It's going to take some time for him.
Can his system work in the Big 12 though? There's people that say walking around Baylor's campus and Oklahoma's campus, you can't tell the difference in the athletes. They look exactly the same. But
I'm pretty sure Baylor's a 14-point dog to Duke this weekend.
They are. Duke, who looked good, they crushed Northwestern.
But a year ago, you would never have thought that. So I'm curious to see what Matt Rule does. But again, a good week 2 of college football. Looking forward here to week 3. We're going to give you some of our plays here now going forward.
All right, for my first pick here, Ray, we head to Memphis, Tennessee, where the Tigers take on the UCLA Bruins, where Memphis will be looking for a statement win and gain respect in the college football world. This looks to be a high-scoring game with 2 high-powered offenses and 2 defenses still trying to establish an identity. Memphis brings in a 1-0 record after being postponed last week due to the hurricane.
Ready for the hurricane.
Their lone win coming against UL Monroe, 37-29 at home. Meanwhile, UCLA brings in a 2-0 record with a historic comeback against Texas A&M and a beatdown of Hawaii. The last time these two met, it resulted in a 7-point win for the Bruins, and that was at UCLA. For me, this game comes down to Josh Rosen and his ability to get it done through the air, having 9 TDs and actually 0 picks yet this year.
The legend of Josh Rosen!
Wow. Yes, Memphis can score, led by their 2-headed rushing attack of Darrell Henderson and Patrick Taylor, but I not see Memphis being able to stop Rosen and the Bruins' offense consistently. Go ahead and lay the 3 points with UCLA.
I actually like this pick too. When I was looking at some lines here, this one stood out to me. I love the way UCLA is playing right now. I think they have a lot of momentum.
Yeah, bringing a lot of confidence.
From that win against A&M to start the year and a win against Hawaii last weekend, which sometimes can be Hawaii can sometimes be a tough program to play. But I love the way that Rosen's playing right now. I really do think he's the best quarterback in the country, best quarterback prospect in the country. And I'm excited to see what they do this week.
Do not be scared if Memphis comes out and throws the first punch. They might go up 14-0, but they're not going to stop Josh consistently.
Are we Josh?
Is he a first-name basis guy?
Are we Josh guys?
Big Josh guys here at SBB.
We are Josh guys.
The legend of Josh Rosen.
For my last play here in college football, I'm going to break a golden rule of betting. What is that golden rule, Ray?
Don't bet with your heart.
And, I'm going to try and not do that. I think this is actually a good play. I'm going to lay the 38.5 points with my Penn State Nittany Lions at home, taking on the Georgia State Panthers. We know what we're going to get with Penn State. An elite offense led by Saquon Barkley and Trace McSorley. Simply put, this offense is going to score points. The thing here is that Georgia State is terrible on offense, and Penn State's defense is low-key, top 25 in the country, putting out a much faster unit than opposing offenses are used to seeing. Georgia State's lone game this year came against FCS Tennessee State, my apologies, losing 17-10 at home. Now they travel to Beaver Stadium. Good luck, guys. The team they lost to, Jackson State, follow me here. They lost to Jackson State 17-15. This is the same Jackson State team that lost 63-0 to TCU. And that is Tennessee State that then lost to Jackson State. So it's kind of like a follow, connect the dots a little bit.
Little little transitive property there.
It's not happening. Penn State's going to score probably in the 50s. I don't think Georgia State is going to score.
Here's what I think, too. I agree with you. And one thing with Penn State is they're not getting the national respect.
The respect!
In terms of the Big Ten that, Michigan and Ohio State were up until last week, I guess I should say. But, my point is, they're going to lay it on.
Absolutely.
They're going to beat the shit out of them because they want to blow teams out for what that's worth, because we know how that is with the committee and everything. Blowing teams out and taking care of business is kind of one of those things. So.
And haters will say this Georgia State team was beating, I believe 2 or 3 years ago, beating Wisconsin.
Haters going to hate.
Yeah, but guess what? Penn State's style of play is completely different than Wisconsin. They're not stopping their offense. Joe Moorhead, he has literally said, try and stop me. I'm going to score more points than you can put up on offense. They're going to get it done.
Here again for Ray's second-rate athlete of the week. Didn't take much for me here to find this one. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to. I need you to tune into the Louisiana Tech Mississippi State game. Towards the end of the game here, Louisiana Tech is getting absolutely demolished by Mississippi State. They're about to score. They're on the 7-yard line, and there's a botched snap.
Goal to go.
Yeah, goal to go. Botched snap. The ball goes over the quarterback's head, and you think he's just going to dive on it. He tries to, squirts out. Guys from Mississippi State are trying to dive on it. Before you know it, the ball's at midfield. Before you know it, it's getting kicked around
Guy
again.
kicks it, yeah.
It ends up all the way on their own 13-yard line or something like that, our own 7-yard line, and it's 3rd and 93 for them to go. Absolutely embarrassing play. So my second-rate athlete of the week is actually both the Louisiana Tech offense and the Mississippi State defense for not recovering that football.
I got a notification on my phone. I thought there was going to be a bunch of penalties and stuff, but no. The ball was just, it was covered in grease. They couldn't get on it.
Second-rate athlete of the week.
Hey, Mom! I'm done with my segment!
Time for my dog of the day, dog of the week, if you will. Not going to dive in too much here, but I'm going to take Purdue money line. They play a Missouri team that has given up 43 points to Missouri State. Credit to you if you can tell me they're a mascot. I don't know it off the top of my head. 31 to South Carolina. Purdue looks great under their new head coach from Western Kentucky. They're going to score points. They lost week 1 in a tough game to Louisville. And then they blew out Iowa at home on a Thursday night. So they do have...
Ohio.
Who did I say? Iowa. Sorry. Ohio. So they do have a couple extra days rest. getting more than a touchdown against a Missouri team that can't stop anybody. Go ahead.
Don't hate the total in this game either. It's low 70s. I think both this is gonna be an absolute shootout. But I actually like this. I look at this as a potential play. Great way for Ron to potentially go 2-0 with his
straight up
dog of the week picks here with UTSA last week and the Purdue Boilermakers this week. All right, so getting to some of the games here this week. Ron, I'm going to dive into some games this week here, away from kind of the main slate of games here.
some good value.
Good value here. This is where you make your money. First game I'm going to look at is the Central Michigan Chippewas. Good ATS team, very friendly to us here over the last couple years. Getting 10.5 points, going to Syracuse, playing in the Carrier Dome. The Central Michigan Chippewas, Ron, they are averaging about 37 points per game in their first 2 games this season. Their win last week against Kansas, their senior quarterback Shane Morris threw for almost 500 yards and about 5 touchdowns. He did throw for 5 touchdowns.
That was a straight up ATS win, or against they were dogs.
They were dogs. That's correct. Their offense has 2 solid wide receivers on the outside. I really do think they're going to keep the Syracuse secondary very busy. Syracuse, on the other hand, is coming off a loss to Middle Tennessee, in which the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee, Ron, put up 14 points in the fourth quarter to come back and win 30-23. Syracuse, on the other hand, was they were not impressive on offense, only about 2.6 yards per rush and 4.1 yards per pass in that fourth quarter. So they definitely struggled down the stretch there, and I think the Chippewas are going to wear them out here as the game goes on. The Chippewas, a good ATS team here early on in the season, Ron. Over the last couple years, on their last 9 games in September, they are 8-1 against the spread. I really do think they're a good enough team here, and they're not getting enough credit for some of the talent they have. I really think this line should be closer to a touchdown, 6 or 7 points.
What are we? Are we getting? Are we laying here?
We are getting 10.5 points.
Wow.
I think they can win this game outright. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and take the points at 10.5, which I think is awesome. But I wouldn't be afraid to necessarily dabble on the money line here as well.
And as a friendly reminder, my apologies, buy up if it's at 10.
Yeah. Get that hook, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Get that hook. So I like the Chippewas here at 10.5. All right, so Ron, not only did we have a great weekend of college football to watch, but we had our first weekend in the NFL. And I know there's nothing like watching our boy Chris Hansen.
Dude, come on, man. It's Chris Hansen's from Dateline NBC. You meant to say Scott Hansen. This suspension's bullshit, and sick and tired of cleaning up your messes, dude. All right, anyway, so you were saying?
7 hours of commercial-free football on Sundays, watching Red Zone, checking your fantasy teams. There's nothing like it. In my opinion, though, Ron, and maybe you'll disagree, I didn't really think it was that exciting of a week 1.
No offense looks good.
Defense
besides the Chiefs.
All right, relax. Defense is clearly we're ahead of the offense, but I'll give you your moment here. Go ahead, Chiefs fanboy. Talk. Go ahead.
Great game. Alex Smith silencing the Patrick Mahomes naysayer. You know, he slung it all over the field. He looked great. Kareem Hunt, awesome. I'm still going to try and stay, pump the brakes a little bit.
Not a week 1 overreaction
right,
for you?
No, I saw Chiefs are now the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl.
Do you remember what the odds were?
I don't, but they did say they gave percentages to every team, odds to make the playoffs, and they gave Chiefs the highest at 20%.
Huh, interesting. Another game that kind of stood out to me personally was the Jags and Houston
defense
Texans
might be
game.
legit.
Again, people, there was that special on with J.J. Watt and everything going. Like everyone thought that the Texans were going to take it to the Jags
for his city.
And the Jags, that defense, man, young but very, very talented. I don't know if they take that with a grain of salt or overreact in week 1 because they were playing a team with Tom Savage and a rookie quarterback then later in Deshaun Watson. Like, I don't know where to go with that, but I was impressed. And they didn't ask Blake Bortles to throw the ball. They ran the football with Leonard Fournette, who looked very good.
They did lose Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson down with an ACL injury.
Not a tear, just an injury.
I believe they diagnosed it as an ACL later in the week. I know he's out for the year,
not a tear.
so.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, he's out for the season. He's on IR.
And the Chiefs did lose Eric Berry, so
that is a huge loss for them in the secondary. How about the Rams? How about the Rams?
We talked about that off the air. We thought it was going to be a defensive battle, but
it was. But
I mean, the Rams. I thought they looked at a minimum competent on offense.
Yeah, Goff looked good, and the Cooper Kupp looked good. Todd Gurley looked good. I'm curious to see what they do in their second year. Jared Goff's second year. Honestly, the most impressive performance after the Chiefs may have been the Vikings. He doesn't fit that offense. I think he should be on a team like the Packers or something.
I wanted the Chiefs to go get him.
Speaking of injuries, David Johnson goes down.
That hurts a lot.
It hurts. Not only does it hurt the Cardinals, who Ron, you said could be a potential Super Bowl pick for you.
They didn't look good.
They did not. Palmer looked awful. Johnson goes down, kills a lot of fantasy teams as well. I say he's out like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. So, not really much that stood out to me in week one. It's kind of one of those
Falcons
weeks that you just watch.
Hungover as fuck.
Super Bowl, the old Super Bowl hangover.
They did not look good at all.
They squeaked by. They should have lost that game.
Absolutely.
I mean, the Bears dropped like 3 passes in the end zone in the winning seconds there.
Also, disappointed in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
He did not look good. And you know what else is bullshit? That last touchdown the Eagles scored, that ball was out of Kirk Cousins' hand. I lost a fantasy matchup because of that.
You like that?
He literally threw it. Was it Fletcher Cox? He threw it into Fletcher Cox's hand. He bats it down.
I thought that was bad.
It was incomplete. And they gave him a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
You like that?
That was
Unbelievable.
That was bad. A lot of people were upset about
Philly
that.
deserved to win that game, but it was unbelievable.
Listen, one thing that Ron and I always say here with NFL before we get into our plays is NFL, we personally believe here that there's a lot of value in teasers in the NFL. Maybe not as much in college, but in the NFL, you can really find some good value here with teasers. So we're going to get into a couple games here that we might like for this week as far as teasers go.
Nate Peterman from the Pitt Panthers. Try saying that.
So to get into one of our plays here that we do like as far as NFL goes, I think something that Ron and I are going to try to do every week is to bring you a 2-team teaser. So our 2-team teaser special for you this week is the Patriots. They are -6.5 visiting the New Orleans Saints, and the Baltimore Ravens, who are hosting the Cleveland Browns, and they are -9. You tease that. Or excuse me, -8.5. You tease that, you get the Pats down pretty much to a pick'em, and you get the Ravens down to a -2.5.
We like Brady to not start the season 0-2.
That's
what
no
that comes down
way
to.
they start 0-2.
Extra couple days to prepare.
There is just no way. This Saints defense, is abysmal. Their secondary is just absolutely brutal.
Imagine how good they look. How good did they make Sam Bradford look? And maybe we don't take anything away from Sam, but sorry, Sam, you're not Tom.
Right. And you don't have the weapons, quite frankly, that the Patriots do. The Patriots defense did worry me a little bit last week, but I do think the Chiefs just really did play a good game.
Andy Reid's a good coach. He had all year to prepare for that game. Now you don't have, it's not a full season prepare.
So we're definitely going to go ahead and pretty much take the Pats here to win. On the other side, the other leg of this teaser is
Ravens on pace to give up 0 points this year.
That's one of the reasons I like them here. Their defense, the Ravens' defense is always good. Baltimore always brings on the defensive side of the football. As much as that pains me to say that, as a Steelers fan, I will give credit where credit is due. Their defense was swarming last week. They held the Bengals to 0 points, which surprised me. I thought the Bengals were going to win that football game.
So did I.
And they held them to 0 points.
Great opportunity for the Ravens to start 2-0 in the division.
Deshaun Kaiser last week, he looked okay. He looked okay against exactly at home. Now he's going on the road to his first true road test against one of the better defenses in the NFL, a division game. I see the Ravens running away with this one and covering it pretty easily. One thing here, as we kind of move on here through our NFL plays, we're going to have a guest caller here, a friend of the podcast, a friend of Ron and I's, Rodney the Rambler. He's going to give us a bunch of money line plays here that he likes, both in the NFL, and I think he's going to dabble a little bit in college here. So we're going to get him here on the line. All right, we welcome on to the show a friend of ours, good friend of ours, avid listener for the last couple of years, Rodney the Rambler. Rodney, welcome on.
Oh, it's a pleasure, gentlemen. It's a pleasure for sure.
Listen, man, we've been excited to get you on here for a while. You've been someone that we have reached out to a lot to get some advice from, run some ideas through. I know you and Ron talk quite frequently here. Why don't you tell us, how's the football season going for you so far?
Well, it's early. You know, there's peaks, there's valleys. Week 1 was great. Week 2 was But, you know, you just got to dust the shoulders, dust your shoulders off and keep going. You know, I had some struggles before, and I started listening to you guys. And my main man Ron hooked me up with the Marcus Peters. I think it played like 24-1. So,
Rookie of the year, that is.
Rookie of the year, yeah. Marcus Peters, Rookie of the year. I listened to your guys' podcast probably it was July probably, and I posted it. And then January came, and I got 24-1 on a Hyundai, so that was a nice little spot for me. So I got to give you props for that. That bailed me out big time.
My bailout special.
Kept a roof over my head anyway.
So Rod, you tell us you had some ideas about how you wanted to tackle or how you wanted to attack NFL and even college a little bit here going into this weekend. Why don't you tell us what you're thinking here?
Well, I love money line plays. I love show loading the good teams and betting 3 favorites. To play 2-1 against your money. I'm fine with that if you know they're going to win, and I love playing the dogs. I don't really like playing points. I've lost too many heartbreakers on college by loser kickers missing field goals. Thanks to West Virginia and Virginia Tech, that game I had the over 55, which stayed at 55 because Joey Schlein missed a 38-yarder. But I just like playing winners and losers. So I like to find value, and I think my specialty, you guys, could be playing some dogs for you boys.
Awesome. Well, listen, man, I agree with you, especially with the kickers thing in college, especially. You can't trust college kickers. It's unbelievable the difference between NFL kickers and college kickers. So I couldn't agree with you more. But why don't you tell us here what you're thinking money line wise for? I think you said you had some NFL plays here you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I got 3 NFL games I like a lot. Okay, it's early in the year. It's kind of a gut thing in what I saw in week 1. So I know these teams could be completely different in week 2. But what I will say is, I like the Packers plus 125. And I know the whole thing of, Atlanta's tough in the turf, Atlanta's tough at home. And Atlanta is tough at home. They're a completely different team at home. But you can't tell me the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and that offense aren't going to be tough on turf either. I like the Packers plus 125. I'm not saying they're going to blow them out. I just think it's a game that's probably 50-50 and you're getting plus money.
And we just talked about how bad Atlanta looked against Chicago. They did not look good.
Right. Yeah, but that's the home thing.
Right,
and Matt Ryan's got one of the best home records in the league. And I know some of these picks don't make sense, but this is why they're dogs. And sometimes you have to just go with the gut and what you've seen. What I've seen was a Packers team, get some calls against the Seahawks, but for the most part dominate that second half of that game. And then I saw a Falcons team that probably should have lost to the Bears. So that's where I'm at on that one. The second one I like. There's no guarantee Odell's playing, and as long as Odell's not playing, or until I know 100% sure he's playing, which I don't know. I love the Lions at plus 145. I think the Lions defense is every bit as good as the Cowboys defense. Okay, and I think the offense, although the Cowboys have a better run game, I think Matt Stafford's a really good quarterback, and I think it's probably a game if Odell doesn't play. I really love the Lions here in a plus 145 spot. If Odell does play, I still think it's a coin flip game.
Right. And the 2 games you talked about are both primetime games, and dogs historically cover on primetime.
Right, and these are small spreads. You're getting 125, 125. Right. These spreads, I don't so much. I wouldn't get invested in these spreads. If you're going to play these, I would play them at the money line and get your value. The third game is the Philadelphia Eagles going into Arrowhead plus 205. Okay, I know this is a weird spot. You have Andy Reid on pretty much a week and a half, which is close to a bye. He's traditionally one of the best coaches out of the bye in NFL history. Arrowhead Stadium is a huge advantage. Couple issues, I think, for the Chiefs in this game. I think the Eagles' front 7 is as good as anybody's in the league. Okay, I think if you keep the Chiefs into 3rd and long, get them out of schedule. Where the Chiefs are awesome is where they have their full playbook on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. Keep them in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. I feel like the Eagles will make plays defensively, and I think that without Eric Berry, look for some big plays over the top that could hurt the Chiefs. I like the Eagles plus 205, and that's definitely a game where I think you can like the Eagles with the 5.5 points.
And that one to me, Rod, is a definitely value. Like you're getting the Eagles at a little better than 2-1. Right, in a game where we think that they could win as an outright dog there. For me, the question in that game is I want to see how Carson Wentz does on the road at one of the loudest stadiums, or the loudest stadium in the NFL.
It's going to be popping
Arrowhead.
after upsetting the Patriots.
I know.
And it's Andy Reid, Eagles, there's that,
If you don't get to Wentz, which they will, but if you miss him, because he's quick, man, and he finds ways to get through stuff.
He made a lot of guys miss week 1.
You don't have Eric Berry anymore to safety. If he gets through that 6-7-man blitz, someone's going to be deep. Someone's going to be open.
Interesting enough.
I don't know. Sometimes he struggles with accuracy. I just like the Eagles in this spot. I really do. And if you wanted to play the 5.5, I'm fine with that as well. But I think the 205 is a great value. And, if you guys want to spend, $20, get a case of Seaboys, you can do that. Or you can take that $20, you can parlay the Eagles money line, Lions money line, Packers money line, parlay that puppy. You got 16 cases of Seaboys for the rest of the year.
Wow, that's enough for the rest of the year.
320.
Rod, I will say one thing. Being a Chiefs fan, Sutton does not like to blitz a lot. They can get to the quarterback with 4 or 5 guys. So it'll be interesting to see that there.
Oh yeah, no, but I agree. But I think Peters is playing. I like the Eagles in this game. I really do. If you can't buy that, I really think it's going to be a field goal game. I will say that.
Rod, did you?
36. Go ahead.
Did you have a chance to watch? Are you an NFL Red Zone guy? Did you watch Scott Hansen?
Yeah, I love Scott Hansen.
7 hours of commercial-free football. There's nothing better, right?
Yeah, he had. Well, he gets quiet at times. So I imagine when he's quiet, he's going to the bathroom. Okay, but then there's also conspiracy.
It's funny you say that, Rod, because he was on the Pardon My Take last week, and he said the only time he goes to the bathroom in that 7 hours is literally 30 seconds before the show comes on.
And he wears a diaper.
He's got it. I think he stands for a lot of it too, as far as I know.
Rodney,
and did you guys want to hear my favorite value in college?
One more thing yet. Being an Eagles fan, I'm assuming you watched the Eagles week 1.
Yeah, I did. Watched it twice, actually.
How was that not an incomplete pass on that fumble recovery for a touchdown? That screwed me in fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those ones where the behind angle did look like a fumble.
It was literally out of his hand.
Right, and then the other one, you could blatantly see his hand moving forward. Here's my thing. I mean, from what I saw, the Eagles dominated that football game.
They did. Kirk looked
now,
terrible.
Could Kirk Cousins pull some crap out and go? Yeah, he's done it to us before. But I agree. It was one that, but I still think it was one of those ones. No matter which way it went,
Eagles were going to win that game.
Going to stay. Right. Well, I'm saying even if they said it wasn't incomplete, they wouldn't have overturned it.
Right.
It was one of those ones where that one angle did kind of look like a fumble, and that was enough to create doubt.
Wasn't indisputable. Yeah.
All it led to was the easy cover. So, hey, and then did you guys get that? You were kind of breaking up on me on that.
Yeah, we got you there. I'd love to hear what you have to say if you have any dogs or value in college that you'd like to throw at us.
Yeah, I mean, I always love playing. And before we get into
did you bet UNLV money line last week?
No. I've been getting into college a little bit, but I love the NFL so much.
Yeah.
Usually I kind of wait and see with college,
right.
And when I wait and see, I think I see value, which I do in this one. We got Baylor plus 450 against Duke, 14-point dogs. Something I wanted to reference is if Baylor finds a way to beat Liberty, which sounds stupid, I'm sorry, but if they find a way to beat Liberty by 1, and they find a way to win a game, the other game against who was that?
UTSA,
San Antonio.
Yep.
Yeah, if they find a way to win that, all right, they'd be favored in this game. Even if they would have won both those games ugly, they'd be favored in this game. My absolute opinion. Right? They lost them, and now they're 14-point dogs. I like them. I like them against Duke. Now, in college, I really love playing money lines because these kids, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
If it comes out and makes 14 on them in the first quarter, they might go away. But if this game's close, I think Baylor's got more talent. I think Baylor pulls this game out plus 450. That's my 36 special. I call it my 36 special because I always play 36 on the inside.
Wow. Rod, it's funny because earlier in the show we were talking about Baylor and how Ron actually had UTSA as his dog of the week last week and how Baylor's going to have to turn things around here, but we think Matt Rule can do it. I'm not going to lie, you kind of swayed me a little bit with if Baylor does somehow win those first two games, they probably are favored in this game. They do have the athletes on their team. At plus 450, I think it's worth taking a shot at for sure. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him get it done.
I know. And look, I look forward to calling you guys, and I look forward to listening to this thing later. As for season longs, I did throw a couple out there that I didn't get to tell you guys about. One I really do like, which is weird, but I think it's good. It would be Le'Veon Bell MVP. I just think I know it didn't look good week one.
If you want to bet that, now's the time.
Yeah, well, he was 26.
Wow.
I don't know what he is now, but I think that if your quarterback play isn't superb, which it probably will be,
At home it will be.
I feel like you get maybe the best player in football at 26-1. It's worth a shot. He needs to turn it around though. Week one was not helpful for me.
David Johnson's now out. He's not going to be able to compete. I'm sorry, that's different. That's different conferences. My apologies.
Thought, and this was one I made 2 weeks ago, which Hunt could screw all this up. But I got Dalvin Cook, Rookie of the Year. I got that at 8-1. And one I really like is I got Deshaun Kaiser at 16-1.
Looks like he's going to be playing.
Hey, Rod, where did Deshaun Kaiser go to college? I'm blanking out.
He went to Notre Dame.
Oh man, ironic. Gotta like those ND QBs.
How'd they do this week?
Yeah, good one. We talked about that earlier. In all seriousness, I think out of all the quarterbacks that have come out of Notre Dame in the past, 10 plus years, 10, 15 years, I think Deshaun Kaiser is going to actually be a good quarterback.
I think the Browns found their quarterback.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked okay week one. He looked okay.
The Browns found their quarterback for at least 2 years, which is more than they can say for anyone else.
2 years or 2 games?
Did you see a stat about Ben Roethlisberger? It's the greatest stat ever.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's since the Browns came back in 1991, a quarterback has more wins in Cleveland? Ben Roethlisberger, than any of the quarterbacks they've ever played.
That's fantastic.
Any quarterbacks they started, Ben Roethlisberger has more wins than any Cleveland Browns quarterback in Cleveland.
I saw that stat. That's fantastic. I love it. Well, Rod, like I said, man,
what I got for you.
We've been trying to get you on here for a while, and I'm glad we could fit you in for this week. Anytime you want to come on, you are always more than welcome, bud.
Hey, you guys just send a shout, and I'll get into my busy schedule.
Awesome, man. Thanks again.
Appreciate your time, man.
Thanks. Yep, you guys are the best.
Big thank you to Rodney the Rambler. Awesome content, great stuff. We look forward to having him on some future shows. This is intern Flad. I accidentally deleted Ray and Ron's closing remarks. They're going to be super pissed, but I look forward to talking to you guys next week. I got a brand new segment on deck. Ray and Ron will be back to building your role. If you have a problem with gambling, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And I'm going to send you off with some Sweet Home Alabama. Have a great weekend.
So